Welcome to Jessie at Home. This is Jessie, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the basics of using a slip stitch to join. This is the most common way that a slip stitch is used, and this is a skill that most beginners really are going to need as they work upon improving their skills. And if you're working with pretty much any pattern that's worked in the round, you're going to need to know how to do the slip stitch to join. So that is what I'm going to show you. There is something called slip stitch crochet that is using the slip stitch as a stitch, and it's a technique of its own. I'm not going to get into that. This is just the basics of using the slip stitch to join a round, and some of the common ways that that's done is when we make a granny square or a flower. You really need to use the slip stitch to start the center and then to continue along the rounds. I do want to let you know that in this tutorial I am using Red Heart with Love yarn. I'd like to let you know what I'm using in case you fall in love with it and want some of your very own. And this is a 6mm or USJ crochet hook. So to begin, let's start with the slip stitch to make a ring. If you're making something like a granny square, you usually have to start off with chaining a certain number. 3, 4, 3 and 4 are usually the most common, and then you have to slip stitch to join, or slip stitch to make a ring. So here you can see I've slip stitched a few more than 3 or 4. I want to make sure that there's enough for you to see. And now to slip stitch to join, all you're going to do is insert your hook into the very first chain that you made. It really doesn't matter if you pick up 1 or 2 of these loops and which loops you pick up. You just want to get your hook somewhere into that first stitch, that first chain that you made. Then all you have to do, now you look on your hook and you have the loop that was already on your hook, and you have the first chain that you made on your hook. Now you're just going to yarn over. You're going to take this new yarn over, this loop that you've made, and you're going to pull it through everything else. And that's your slip stitch to join. So I'll show you that one more time. You've made your chain, however long your pattern says, and you are now going to insert your hook into the very first chain you made. You're going to wrap your yarn over your hook, and you're going to pull it through everything. And that's it. You have made a little ring that you can now work into to begin your granny square or your flower, whatever it is that you're making. Okay. Now, the other common use for the slip stitch to join is to join a round. Here you can see I've started a granny square, and I started off with the ring in the center like I just showed you. I did the next round, and I slip stitched to join that round. Now I've done the third round, and let me show you that slip stitch. So I've gotten to the point now where my pattern would say slip stitch to the top of your beginning chain 3 to join your round. So you're going to figure out wherever it is that your pattern says. In this case it says to the top of the beginning chain 3. You can see here is the first chain, here is the second chain, and here is the third chain right here. So I'm going to insert my hook into that third chain because that's what my pattern says. I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull through everything on my hook. And that is how I slip stitch to join. Let me show you that again. I've completed my round. My pattern says slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain 3 to join round. So I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch that my pattern tells me to join to. I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull through everything on my hook. Okay, and I want to show you one last thing that's a very common use even in some of the beginning patterns of the slip stitch. Some granny square patterns will have you continue the granny square from this point. Some will have you move over to the corner, and they'll have you moving over to the corner by telling you to slip stitch to the corner. They might tell you slip stitch in the next certain number of stitches, or they might just say slip stitch to corner. And what that means is you're going to place a slip stitch in every stitch until you get to the corner. So all you do, we've already gone into this stitch right here. So now we're going to go into the next stitch by inserting our hook into the next stitch under both loops, yarn over, and pull through. Okay, you see how we've moved over one? Now we're going to go to do that in the second one. Insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. We're almost to the corner. Now we want to slip stitch to the corner, so you can go ahead and insert your hook into the corner space, because that's where the next stitch is, into the corner space, yarn over, pull through. We are now in the corner, and I can now continue my pattern from the corner. You see how I have moved? I joined here and I moved my stitches all the way over to here by doing that. Okay, so these are your most common uses for the slip stitch. Hopefully this video will help you improve your skills and increase the number of patterns that you're able to make. Have a nice day.